You're sitting at your kitchen table at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday, laptop open, and you're doing something you've been putting off for 3 months, calculating your actual net worth, not the vague mental estimate you carry around that makes you feel okay. The real number, assets minus debts, what you actually own minus what you actually owe. So you added up the savings account, the 401k, the car, whatever it's worth now, the student loans, the credit card balance you've been almost paying off since 2021, and you get a number, and the number is either better than you expected, which makes you feel briefly amazing, or it's worse than you expected, which makes you close the laptop and go eat something. Here's what nobody tells you about that number. It isn't just a score. It's a description of which version of your life you're actually living. Whether a $900 car repair is a Tuesday or a crisis, whether a better job offer in another city is exciting or something you literally can't afford to consider. Spoiler alert, every level feels completely different from the inside, and today we're going through all of them. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about why two people can make the exact same income and end up in completely different financial realities 10 years later. If you've ever stared at your bank account balance and thought, I make decent money, so why does this number look like this? Subscribe and hit that like button, because that question is exactly what this video answers. Before we get into it, not a financial advisor, this isn't financial advice, and I'm not here to make you feel bad about wherever you're currently sitting. Every level has a specific trap, and the trap is almost never what you think it is. Let's start at the bottom, where roughly 10 million American households currently live. Level 1, negative net worth. The system charges you extra for being broke. You're 23 years old, you graduated 14 months ago, you have a job, $38,000 a year, which felt like real money until you watched your first paycheck get cut roughly in half by federal tax, state tax, FICA, and a health insurance premium that costs more than your phone bill. You have $41,000 in student loans, $2,200 on a credit card you opened for emergencies, which it turns out is just a polite word for every month, and $314 in your checking account. Your net worth is approximately negative $43,000. Welcome to level 1. You'd think being broke would be bad enough on its own, but the financial system looked at that situation and said, you know what would make this more interesting? Charging you extra for it. Your overdraft fee is $26.77. The average transaction that triggers it, $24. So you bought something for $24 you didn't quite have, and the bank charged you $27 for the privilege of witnessing that. JP Morgan Chase collected over $1 billion in overdraft fees in 2024. Not from wealthy people, from people who didn't have $24. And if things get desperate enough that you turn to a payday loan, the average APR is nearly 400%. The pitch is borrow $300, pay it back in 2 weeks. The reality is the average borrower carries that debt for 200 days, not 2 weeks. Yeah, 200 days. There are more payday loan storefronts in America than McDonald's and Starbucks combined. The entire business model is built on the assumption that you won't be able to pay it back on time. That's not a financial product, that's a subscription service you never meant to sign up for. The exit from level 1 isn't motivation, it's stopping the bleeding before compound interest outruns any realistic savings rate. Level 2, $0 to $10,000, technically positive, still one bad week away. You're 26. You paid off the credit card. The student loans are still enormous, but you're current. You have $2,800 in a savings account. And it took 18 months to get there, which felt like an embarrassingly long time until you realized most people don't have it at all. 37% of American adults cannot cover a $400 emergency without borrowing money or selling something, not $4,000, $400, one car repair, one urgent care copay, one water heater that decides Thursday night is a great time to stop working. The trap here is the exhale. You escape the negative, you have a small cushion, you deserve to treat yourself, right? Maybe briefly, but this is exactly when a car with affordable monthly payments and a slightly nicer apartment with just a little more in rent combine to quietly drain the $2,800 you spent 18 months building. The relief of level 2 is completely real. The problem is that relief and safety feel almost identical. They are not the same thing. Level 3, $10,000 to $50,000, stable, but still the engine. You're 29. You got a raise, moved somewhere slightly cheaper, and successfully broke the DoorDash habit, which was quietly costing you about $4,200 a year in delivery fees, service charges, and tips for the privilege of eating lukewarm food. You have $22,000 split between a savings account and a 401k your employer matches up to 3%. Your net worth is around $18,000, positive, real, yours. Here's what most people at level 3 don't realize. The money isn't working yet. At $18,000 invested at 7%, your portfolio generated $1,260 last year on its own. That's roughly 2 car payments. Compounding is like hiring an intern. Technically contributing, mostly just watching. You are still almost entirely the engine. The trap is keeping everything in a savings account, earning 0.5% while inflation eats it at 3%. The money is sitting in a chair doing nothing while inflation slowly picks its pockets. The exit is opening the brokerage account, starting the Roth IRA, capturing the full employer match, right? Which is, by the way, the only guaranteed 50 to 100% return on investment that actually exists. Everything else is boring. That one is just free money. Level 4, $50,000 to $100,000, the house and car squeeze. You're 33. You bought a house with a yard in a neighborhood that has a Trader Joe's within 15 minutes, which was somehow a deal breaker. You have a mortgage payment of $2,050 a month and a car payment of $618 because the old one finally died and you needed something reliable, and which apparently now costs $618 a month. Your 401k has $61,000 in it. Net worth on paper, around $74,000. From the outside, you've made it. From the inside, here's what's actually happening. Gross income, $78,000. Take home after taxes, roughly $5,040 a month. Mortgage, $2,050. Car payment, $618. Car insurance, $194. Student loans, $340. Groceries, $700. Utilities, $280. Health insurance premium, $220. Gas, $160. You are now at $478 remaining for the month. We haven't touched clothing, home maintenance, which should be budgeted at $417 a month on a $500,000 house. And the house doesn't care whether that's in your budget or not. Date nights, kids' activities, or the basic psychological need to occasionally do something that isn't just surviving. The average millionaire spends about 1% of their net worth on their car. The average level 4 household spends closer to 30%. That new car you financed at $618 a month lost somewhere between $6,000 and $8,000 in value the moment you drove it off the lot. You paid for the depreciation and the interest. Congratulations, you financed a loss. The trap is the belief that you've arrived. The house, the car, the growing 401k are proof of something. Whether that something is building wealth or successfully signed up for every expensive commitment simultaneously depends entirely on what you do in the next 5 years. Level 5, $100,000 to $250,000. The hardest part is almost over. You're 38. You've been grinding for 15 years. You finally crossed $100,000 in net worth. $127,000 split between home equity, retirement accounts, and a brokerage account you check more often than you should. The gains look small, and you've started wondering if you're doing something wrong. You're not. Charlie Munger said one thing about personal finance that sounds almost cruel until you see the math. The first $100,000 is a barrage, but you gotta do it If you save $10,000 a year at 7% annual returns, the first $100,000 takes 7.8 years, the second $100,000 takes 5.1 years, the fifth takes under 3. The first $100,000 eats 25% of your entire journey to $1 million while representing only 10% of the destination. At $30,000 invested, a 7% return generates $2,100 for the year. Barely a month's rent. But at $500,000 invested, that same 7% is $35,000. Your portfolio is now covering your groceries, utilities, car insurance, and streaming subscriptions without you lifting a finger. The intern became a full employee. The trap disguises itself as success. You got a promotion. Take home went up $900 a month, and within 6 months, the apartment is nicer, the car got upgraded, and the savings rate is somehow lower than before the raise. That's lifestyle creep. It doesn't knock, it just moves in quietly and eats every dollar you give it, then politely waits for the next raise to do it again. The exit is automation. Move the money before you see it. Your future self is not more disciplined than your present self. They're the same person. Make the decision once and stop asking yourself to be heroic every single month. Here's where I need you to stay with me, because the second half of this video is where the math starts doing something genuinely strange. Everything up to level 5 is mostly survival and behavioral traps. All but somewhere around $250,000, a specific mechanism kicks in that most people never see coming. And it's specifically designed to catch the people who worked the hardest to get here. Don't skip this part. Level 6, $250,000 to $500,000. The golden handcuff. Year 43, combined household income $162,000, net worth $340,000. Life is genuinely fine. Bills get paid, the family goes on vacation once a year, you're not doing the grocery store account check anymore, and you're somehow still lying awake at 2 a.m. worrying about retirement, which sounds like a you problem until you run the numbers. At $340,000, the 4% rule generates $13,600 a year. That's not a retirement. That's a part-time job's income without the part-time job. But a Schwab survey asked Americans how much they'd need to feel financially comfortable. The answer, $778,000. To feel actually wealthy, $2.5 million. At $340,000, you're 44% of the way to comfortable. You're not even in the parking lot of wealthy. Here's the trap nobody sees coming. Both incomes are now fully deployed. The mortgage was sized for 2 salaries, the cars, the neighborhood, the kids' activities, is all calibrated to $162,000, which means neither of you can quit. Neither of you can get sick for long. Neither of you can take a pay cut for something more meaningful without the whole structure wobbling. The golden handcuff doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like a life you built. That's what makes it so effective. Meanwhile, at around $200,000 invested, your annual returns just started exceeding your annual contributions. The crossover point. After this, compounding does more work than you do. You just have to not blow it. Level 7, $500,000 to $1 million. The snowball is rolling. You're 48. Net worth just crossed $500,000. You checked one morning and the number was there, sitting quietly like it had always been there, and your first thought was that you probably shouldn't mention this to anyone at work. At $500,000 invested at 8%, your portfolio generates $40,000 a year. While you're sitting in a meeting that could have been an email, while you're driving to soccer practice, while you're arguing about what to watch on TV, your portfolio is running in the background like a full-time employee who never shows up late, never needs health insurance, and has never once asked for a raise. The trap is that most people at this level have 30 to 50% of their net worth locked inside their house, completely inaccessible without selling or borrowing. You can have $700,000 in net worth and only $50,000 you can actually deploy. The move at level 7 is to stop treating home equity as your investment strategy and start treating it as what it actually is, a large, illiquid, undiversified position in one specific zip code. It counts. Just not as much as the brokerage account you've been underfeeding for a decade. Level 8, $1 million to $3 million. The millionaire disappointment. You're 54, you crossed $1 million. Tuesday morning, 7:14 a.m., standing in your kitchen in the same shirt you've owned since 2018, and the account said $1,003,400. You waited for the feeling, the clarity, the arrival. Approximately nothing. Not nothing like devastated. Nothing like you expected a sensation that didn't show up. You closed the app and made your coffee and went to work because $1,003,400 at a 4% withdrawal rate generates $40,000 a year, which is fine, but it is not, I never have to think about money again money. It's, I think about money slightly less frantically money. Here's the part that rearranges everything you assumed about who actually builds wealth. Ramsey Solutions studied over 10,000 millionaires, the 5 most common professions: engineer, accountant, teacher, manager, attorney. Not tech founders, not real estate investors who went viral. Teachers, 79% received 0 inheritance. 1/3 never made 6 figures in any single year. What they did, almost universally, I was invest consistently for a long time in extremely boring places and never touch it. What cars do they drive? 61% drive Hondas, Toyotas, or Fords. The median amount paid for their most recent vehicle, $31,367, a used Camry, essentially. Meanwhile, 86% of people driving luxury vehicles in America are not millionaires, they just look like them. The person building real wealth is driving a 2019 Honda with 94,000 miles and a brokerage account that would make your eyes water. The person performing wealth is making $1,100 monthly payments on a truck they use exclusively to commute to a desk job. From the outside, you'd guess backwards every single time. The trap is the goalpost refusing to stop moving. $1 million felt like enough until you got here. Now, $3 million sounds more like it. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. Okay, the financial version has quietly derailed more retirement plans than any market crash in history. Level 9, $3 million to $10 million, when freedom actually shows up. You're 61, net worth $4.2 million. You haven't said that number out loud to almost anyone because you've noticed it changes how people look at you. At $4 million, the 4% rule generates $160,000 a year. Work is optional. Not optional if everything goes perfectly optional. Structurally, genuinely, get up and quit on a Wednesday, optional. You stop checking your account in the morning. Not because you're avoiding it, but because you genuinely didn't need to. Your kid gets a job offer in another city and you encourage them to take it without quietly running the math on your safety net. Right, the trap is complexity wearing the costume of sophistication. At level 9, people in expensive suits start appearing with alternative investment opportunities, hedge funds, private equity, things that require a glossary. They'll tell you your boring index fund strategy was excellent for getting here, but now you require something more nuanced. More nuanced usually means higher fees, worse liquidity, and after those fees, worse returns. Only 10% of hedge funds consistently beat a basic S&P 500 index over 10 years. The boring thing that got you here is almost certainly the right thing to keep doing. Don't let someone charge you $2 and $20 to find that out the expensive way. Level 10. $10 million and above. Different country entirely. You're 67, net worth $14 million. Like, the financial system now operates on a different set of rules. Rules most people don't know exist, which is not an accident. You borrow against your assets to fund your lifestyle instead of selling them. You pay no capital gains tax. The assets keep compounding. When you die, your heirs receive them at a stepped-up cost basis. It's called buy, borrow, Die, which sounds like the tagline for a very niche action movie, but is actually just standard estate planning at this level. At $14 million, a 4% withdrawal is $560,000 a year. Your portfolio generates more money annually than most people will earn across a full decade. And here's the hardest truth at level 10: 70% of wealthy families lose their fortune by the second generation, 90% by the third. The number one cause is not bad investments. Like its family communication breakdown, kids handed a number without the philosophy behind it, heirs who received wealth without understanding how it was built. You spent 4 decades building something real. The question at level 10 isn't whether you can protect the money, it's whether you can transfer the mindset. Most people find out too late that those are two completely different problems, and only one of them has a financial solution. The gap between the person who sits at 67 with $4 million in index funds, driving a paid off car, sleeping fine, and the person who sits at 67 still working a job they've hated for 15 years to cover the mortgage on a house they bought to impress people they've mostly lost touch with, that gap didn't open at 67. It opened in 100 small moments across 4 decades. Like the car payment signed at 29, the lifestyle upgrade at 38 after the raise, the savings rate that quietly shrank every time income went up, because spending has a way of filling every container you give it. There is no trophy for looking like you're at a higher level than you are. There is no prize for performing wealth while building debt. The only scoreboard that actually matters is the one nobody can see. That number, like assets minus liabilities, is your real number, and now you know exactly which level it puts you at. Knowing your level is step 1. Knowing what to actually do next, how to reset the financial system that's keeping you stuck, which traps to sidestep at your specific stage, how to start building and investing without overcomplicating it. Like what a real long-term wealth plan looks like for someone in your situation, that's a different conversation. And it's one that's hard to have alone with a YouTube video, so we built a place for it. It's our community on School, a space for people who are serious about actually moving to the next level, not just watching videos about it. If you've been staring at your number and wondering what the next move looks like for you specifically, that's exactly what it's there for. Link is in the bio. Come find your level.